Welcome to Season 5, Episode 4 of the Family Travel Australia podcast. We are Paul, Katie and Jasper from the Feel Good family. Join us as we explore this great country, Australia, its people, places and cultures.
Yes, welcome to the Family Travel Podcast, where we share the latest in RV industry news, road trip travel, camping, caravanning, product reviews, where to go, what to do, and so much more. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for being here. This week is epic.
It is. It actually really is.
Yes. We start our Tassie adventure with a 125-kilometre road trip from Stanley to Devonport. We explore an ancient volcano known as the Nut. There's lots of nuts in this episode. We visit the largest temperate rainforest in the Southern Hemisphere. We take a step back in time at Australia's #1 veteran car collection. We see real penguins in the wild. We also visit Penguin, the place, and we ride the Don River Railway. In the newsroom, we discuss RV fire safety.
Jam-packed.
It
How
really
are we going to
is.
fit it all in?
We're going to talk very quickly. All right, let's start at Stanley. Now, this place does actually hold a very special place in our heart. When we were back in 2020, we travelled to Tassie and we got here. We turned right off the ship there at Devonport, the Spirit of Tasmania, and we headed straight to Stanley because I'd said to Katie, I don't care which direction we go, really. I just want my first night to absolutely make me feel and breathe and be a part of the Tasmanian environment and wild, epic coastline. I want to be a part of it.
Well, and what better place to go than Stanley? It really is the jewel, I think, in the northwest of Tasmania, and one definitely for your must-do list. I mean, it is set amongst this incredible backdrop of the Nut, the core of an ancient volcano that just juts up out of the ocean, a bit like a top hat, really.
It really is, and I think what is so wonderful is that as you're driving along that coastline from Devonport, you can see it there in the distance, and as you do get closer, it is remarkable at how large this core actually is.
Yeah, it is. And the beautiful little seaside village of Stanley is just nestled just underneath the Nut. So it is just so beautiful and screams Tasmania, and that is exactly why we chose to go there. It does hold a very special place in our hearts, and this road trip between Stanley and Devonport, there are so many things that you can do on this coastal strip. And, you know, on a perfect blue sky day, it is absolutely spectacular. The ocean, the different beaches that you can access. And then on a grey sky, rugged weather day in Tassie, it again is just perfect and stunning.
It is, and what is great about this particular road trip itinerary is that you can do it in reverse. It really doesn't matter. We actually decided to do it from Stanley back to Devonport.
Yeah, absolutely. But as you say, Paul, you can do it in either direction, and you can make more or less stops than we did as well, because there really is so many little villages dotted along this coastline.
I think that's a great point. Our very first stop was actually at the Stanley Visitor Information Centre.
Yes, as always, we love visiting the Vics. I mean, not only do you get to meet some of the passionate locals who live and breathe the place and can't wait to share all of the hidden gems and, you know, the must-dos with you, but you can also pick up maps of the area, you know, so much information that you ordinarily wouldn't find.
And it is perfectly positioned right on the left-hand side on the one road that is in and out of the Nut. That's right. You can also check out other activities. They hire mountain bikes so that you can explore the Tarkine, which we'll talk about a little later in this episode. Look, Stanley, this time around, we chose to stay at the off-grid camp park. It is managed by the Stanley Golf Club. It's only $10 a night. You do have to be fully self-sufficient. Your RV has to have its own water, obviously, and your own toilet facilities.
Absolutely. But it's a really great option if you are wanting perhaps to get away from the crowds, have a little bit more space. And for $10 a night, I think they even offer a $50 weekly rate, which
Bargain.
is great. It's a very big, green, grassy, almost recreation area that adjoins the golf course, and it is absolutely on the beachfront. So you have these spectacular views of not only the ocean, but also then back towards the Nut. I mean, it is perfectly positioned.
The other thing that they offer there is a dump point, which is newly installed, and that just makes life so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. It sure does. And look, it was still fairly busy when we were there, but everybody had their own space, everybody had their own spot, and there was so much more room for more vans to come and go. So a really, really great option if you don't need those power and water hookups. Look, there is the Stanley Cabins and Tourist Park, which also is located beachside under the Nut. If you need those water and power hookups, it's a great place. We stayed there on our first visit to Stanley and enjoyed just breathtaking views back to the Nut.
Yeah, really the difference is that it's a 5-minute walk from the golf course or the recreation lawn, as you say, into town. But there is a pathway. There's also four-wheel drive access directly to the beach from this position as well, which was a really great local tip for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is so much to see and do in Stanley. I mean, I think if you had a week to make Stanley your base, that's a perfect amount of time. But even if you only have a few days to explore, you're going to have to pick and choose what you're going to do in Stanley itself, but then also a little further afield because there's so much on offer in this northwest region.
I think one of the first activities to do is to just walk up and down the streetscape. It is like you are literally dropped back in a time where everything was paused, you know, the late 1880s, boom, press pause, Stanley. All of the cottages here have been beautifully and authentically restored back to their former glory. So it is so beautifully presented, it literally is a state of being stuck in a time zone. I mean, amazing.
It feels like you're in a movie. And I love the Stanley Village. I mean, it is so beautiful, and I love walking the main street because I literally feel like I am walking through a blockbuster movie with these beautiful, as you say, Paul, restored buildings, and then just again that backdrop of the Nut. It's so unique. You're not going to find this setting anywhere.
They actually have used this street of Stanley in many films.
Yeah.
They've even completely covered the streets in dirt and used horse and carriages. And I mean, that would be awesome to see it in action, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it definitely would. So it is really beautiful, and you could easily spend your days just in and around the village visiting many of the cafes, the grocers. There's a great providor. There's also a number of really fantastic whiskey and wine bars that we can recommend.
Actually, our favourite would have to be the Tasmanian Wine and Food Bar. This is an eclectic presentation of everything from antique furniture, a collection of old books, to weird and wacky and quirky items that in the main have actually been donated through travellers coming through this town. And because they had such a good collection there, people have come along and gone, actually, I've got a really old, beautiful camera, or I've got, you know, a stuffed pheasant, or, you know, a mannequin that, you know, is holding a fox. there is some really random stuff there. Definitely some thought-provoking things.
Yes, it's quite outrageous, but it just seems to work.
Yeah, they're all conversation starters, let's put it that way. And then the barman is so passionate about his storytelling that it is a really great atmosphere to let the barman guide you into a whiskey or a gin or a wine, all Tasmanian. Wonderful experience. And it's family friendly. You can take your kids as well.
Yes, love that. And again, to sit inside and then look out through the beautiful windows to that streetscape of Stanley is just an awesome experience. I'd love to do that in winter. I think it would be a wonderful place to be in winter when it is quite chilly and you can be inside with the fire roaring and look out to the street. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, our tip would be as you enter the main building, over on the right-hand side in the front room with the windows looking back out over the streetscape, the library room, we called it.
Yes, with a very interesting collection of books from days gone by.
And a bottle of Tassie wine. It was great. Great afternoon.
Yeah. Look, another fantastic place to stop and eat is the Stanley Pub. The original pub here in Stanley. They serve really delicious very large meals. So we would definitely recommend that for a night off cooking, just to walk, which is so fantastic, isn't it? When you can walk from your RV to go and grab a meal and have a beverage and then just wander home without having to drive.
Waddle
home. Yes. Well, we'll talk about penguins in a second. The Stanley Pub houses one of Australia's oldest walk-in wine cellars as well. So it's definitely worth going downstairs into the bottle shop and checking that out.
Okay, the main attraction is the Nut, and there are two ways to access the Nut. You can either walk up the steep incline. It's about 153 metres height, I believe.
Yes, it is.
Or you can catch an old school chairlift.
I love it too because the signage for the chairlift says, "Why walk when you can ride?" It's so inviting. You're like, yeah.
So good. Look, I mean, you can do a one-way ticket as well. You could always ride up and walk down. We're a little lazier, weren't we?
I don't know if lazy is the right word. I mean, you try getting a 5-year-old up there. Look, we've met some families who have successfully managed to get their kids to hike up to the top, but we decided to save Jasper's energy reserves for the top of the Nut because once you get up there, then there is a 2-kilometre loop track around the top of the Nut, which kind of blows me away that this is accessible for people to get up here and be able to take in, not only these breathtaking views from the top of the Nut, but how well maintained this is. And it is full pathway and there are stairs and there are lookouts and, there's even picnic areas up there. So it is so awesome to be able to get up there into this environment that is hard to believe that it even exists on the top of the Nut.
Yeah, it is very large. The hot tip for us would be to walk in a clockwise direction, and that may help you or save your knees because there are quite a lot of steps around halfway around the Nut. So
yeah, actually, and look, we learnt the hard way the very first time that we visited the Nut.
Yeah.
We went in the other direction. Jasper was only 3 at that stage, so not able to walk as far as he can now on his 5-year-old legs. And when we got back up the top this time, I had this vivid flashback and I said to Paul, oh my goodness, I just remember what happened last time. We'd come up very late in the afternoon and we didn't want to miss the very last chairlift going back down to the bottom.
Yeah.
I had to piggyback Jasper and run probably the final kilometre of the circuit loop with him on my back because he couldn't walk. I can't walk any further.
Yeah.
Thankfully, he made it all the way around this time on his own 2 legs.
Clockwise, that's the tip.
Yes.
Okay, the other highlight in town, and you can see from the Nut, is Highfield House. It is this beautifully restored house atop the hill overlooking both beaches and the Nut. Stunning location. It is a National Parks managed property. There is I think a $12 entry fee for adults, and again just so beautifully restored to its former glory. a stunning location to visit if you love your history.
Yeah, absolutely. It was once the former home of the chief agent for the Van Diemen's Land Company. So we're talking early 1800s here, set high atop that hill so that he could look out over all the farmland property that he was managing, and not a bad position at all.
It is prime position, absolutely beautiful. Another wonderful experience is to take in the wildlife. Now, there is wildlife all on top of the nut. There is wildlife all around the base of the nut. The ocean is brimming with fur seals, dolphins. We did a seal cruise adventure last time we were in town. Unfortunately, this time around, they were in between operation. There'd been some damage from a storm done to the actual pier and jetty that they were hitched to. So check that out, and ask at the Visitor Information Centre if that is still operating, because if it is,
it's worth it.
Do it.
Yeah.
One of the best wildlife experiences that we have done, and there was more wildlife than was in the brochure, I remember saying last time. So fantastic. But also on the western point of the actual nut around the base is a penguin colony. They're actually little penguins is their official name. They are referred to as fairy penguins as well. And there's a rookery there. You can go there at dusk and check that out. We were tipped off by some locals to just walk straight out the front of where we were camped. They said, you know what? You don't actually have to go all that way, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You can actually just head out the front, and there are hundreds of them. And sure enough, we had quite a display. In fact, there was some horizontal mambo going on with a few of the penguins. Yeah, I didn't know how best to put that. But look, we saw plenty of penguin action.
Yes, we did. And we literally sat ourselves down on the grass in front of the caravan park, actually, and were meters away from these little penguins who were very inquisitive, coming right up to us to say hello. And
right up to the camera.
Right Amazing. Up to the camera. Yes, the footage is fantastic, and we do encourage you to jump on over to our Feel Good Family YouTube channel and check out this episode, because not only is the penguin footage awesome, it is stunning footage of this part of Tasmania, and you will hear us say this for every single Tassie episode that we bring you. It is absolutely stunning down here, no matter where you are. The penguins were fantastic, and I loved this experience with Jasper too, because he just was in awe watching these funny little critters run around. They're the world's smallest penguin. Did you know that?
They're definitely little.
They are little. They're very cute. A little bit stinky, but fun to go and watch at night time.
Okay, Stanley is also a really wonderful base to get out and explore some of the wider region. The number one location that we would recommend would be to look at the Tarkine. Now, we have been told that we're pronouncing that incorrectly.
The Tarkine? The Tarkine. You say potato, I say potato.
Exactly. So bear with us on that one. We'll stick with Tarkine.
Yeah, look, it is incredible. It is actually the Southern Hemisphere's largest spread of cool temperate rainforest. And there is a Tarkine Drive that you can do that would take you 2 days. So there's an entire coastal section that runs along the very northwest coast of Tasmania, and then there's the inland rainforest section. You can pick and choose what you want to do. You could do the entire loop over a couple of days and stay along the route, which I think would be fantastic, or you can do a couple of day trips. We headed out to, I think, a definite highlight on this Tarkine Drive, and that is Tarrawada Arch.
Yes, and as soon as you step out of your vehicle and onto the path, you are engulfed in green and vibrant green, and the air is moist. And as you said, Katie, when we were there, it is so alive. Everything is interconnected through moss and lichen, and it makes you feel alive. This was such an accessible, easy experience. I think it's 15 minutes return.
A very, very short, easy walk.
Yeah, to actually see the arch, which is I mean, it's a stunning natural formation in itself. But what really struck us was how magical this felt to be in this environment.
Yeah, look, I think that's a really good point, Paul. If you were having a down day or you were feeling a little bit emotionally fragile or struggling with, your mental health, heading out here would be an awesome idea. And there are some seating placed along the pathway in different sections of the walk where you could literally go and sit and just be and breathe in this environment. It did make us feel very much alive. It is incredible rainforest. I mean, the size of some of these ferns and the trees and the what's that? The
Cycads?
width. No, the width of the tree trunks. It's just incredible. I mean, this is ancient forest that's been growing here for a very long time, and it definitely does something to your soul, I think, and your happiness levels. So worth it, and a really easy drive from Stanley.
And free.
And free.
Yeah, and pristine. It is so untouched, you really do feel like you're in, a scene from Jurassic Park. Beautiful. All right, we're going to say goodbye to Stanley. We're going to be heading to another place called Penguin. Okay, and it's been named because of the little penguin. But on the way, we would give you this awesome tip, and that is to stop at a place called Wynyard. And you can drive straight to the Visitor Information Centre if you put that into your road maps, and they have Long Bay parking there. Easy to navigate through the main street and then pull your rig straight into a Long Bay parking. Simple. They make it so easy.
Yep.
This particular Visitor Information Centre was purpose-built to house Australia's #1 and largest veteran car collection of model Fords.
Incredible.
Yes.
Absolutely amazing. And you'd have no idea that it was here in this town on Tassie's northwest.
Okay, so there's a local guy. He's a bit of a legend now. His name is Francis Ransley. He originally was a TV repairman. He had a love of high-speed watercraft. In fact, he still holds the Tasmanian and Australian water speed record.
Wow.
Yeah. His wife said to him, "I'm really concerned you're going to kill yourself."
Fair enough.
She said, "You need to find a new hobby." He had an accident. He survived. And so then he started collecting and restoring vintage cars, or veteran Fords specifically.
Wow. I wonder if his wife ever had a moment where she was like, I wonder if I should have suggested he take up something else.
This guy even hires a couple of other guys, mechanics, to help him restore them to their most authentic and original condition possible. And the result is stunning. He has 28 cars in his collection. I think about 18 of them are actually on display in this building that the council, he partnered with the council basically and said, "Look, I'll let you put these on display for public enjoyment and to help drive some more visitation to Wynyard." Fully succeeded in that. They built a beautiful environment for this collection. You are charged $8 as an adult, which basically covers the insurance of these vehicles.
Amazing.
The prized vehicle in there is a Class A Ford. It is one of only two in the world, the second being in Michigan at the Ford Motor Company Museum. However, his one is regarded as the most authentic.
Isn't that incredible?
Amazing.
And you can go and check this out for $8.
Yeah, and it's
$8.
I mean, Shannon's Insurance, vintage or veteran car insurance is really where that fee's going. So
incredible.
I think it's remarkable. Thank you, Francis. We loved this experience.
Yeah, and look, if you're pulling up to Wynyard, the Woolies is across the road, so you're going to stop and do a food shop. Take the time to go into the Visitor Information Centre and visit this collection.
Okay, we moved on then down the road to a little park called Blue Wren. It is right on the water's edge. In fact, the only thing that comes between you and the ocean is an active train line that is snaking its way literally around the whole coastline here. And that train comes past about 4 times a day.
Yes, it does.
Just the thought, this was the best fan park we'd ever stayed in.
Yeah, it's a really lovely spot, Blue Wren. It's actually considered to be in West Ulverston, which is basically between Penguin and the town of Ulverston, right on the beachfront. Great owners. It's actually also a wedding venue and gardens facility as well. So you can imagine beautiful green grass. The sites are sort of tiered up the hill and the gardens are amazing.
Look, there's only a handful of sites here.
Yes.
It's full hookups for power and water. It's only $25 per night.
They do have an unpowered camping section as well. What I loved was that every site had a view of the ocean in some respect. So even where we were with other vans sort of tiered down the hill from us, we still had amazing views from the kitchen and the bedroom window out to the ocean.
They also have a licensed restaurant and bar area, which is operated by a third party. It's called the Hungry Goat.
Apparently, it's a favourite of the locals. And here again, you know, taking that local information, I think it's a really important one. When somebody local says to you, this is a great place to go and eat, you write that one down.
Yeah, that is a very good point. There's also a separate covered fire pit area where you can sit around in a circle. It's a communal area. They have happy hours.
I love that.
I think from about 4:30 every afternoon.
Why have one when you can have a few?
It is a BYO setup there, but they stoke that fire every afternoon.
And it's a really short, I think, 5-minute drive into the town of Penguin, which again is a must visit when you are on this stretch of coastline. Not only for these beautiful little or fairy penguins that call this part of the coast home, but because of how the town has embraced the penguin. I mean, the town's name is Penguin, and there are penguins everywhere, on every shop front, on every bin, at the children's playground, the street lights. There is a giant penguin, a giant little fairy penguin sculpture on the main foreshore area that you can grab a photo with. Jasper loved that.
It was so cute with his little hands out like this. And he literally is the size of a matchbox car next to a giant little penguin.
Yes. But lots of fun and really quirky, and definitely worth stopping into Penguin to not only check the town out, but also enjoy some of the local venues.
Yes, look, the number one venue that we would recommend would be the beer company, the Penguin Beer Company.
Yes, now this is part of the Cradle to Coast Tasting Trail, which is a featured trail on this part of the northwest with,
37.
There you go, 37 local producers and providers, everything from beer to wine to cheese to chocolate to hazelnuts to you name it. This is a fantastic trail. In fact, you can find the information within our fully comprehensive downloadable ebook that will take you straight to the trail, and you can pick and choose what you want to do. We loved the look of the Penguin Beer Company. They are situated right on the foreshore. You can order yourself up a tasting paddle of their Penguin Pale Ales and just take in that beautiful view over Penguin Beach.
Now, the Penguin Paddle, as they call it, has 4 of their beers that include the Little Penguin. It's an IPA. I tried that. That was fantastic. I think it was about 3.5%. Then there is the King, the Emperor, and then there's a Royal Penguin beer. It's a dark beer. It's chocolate beer.
They also serve food up there as well. So great meals and very family friendly. There's an awesome deck area. There's also a nice grassed area. What I love too, and what we've seen so far in Tassie, is that so many places are pet friendly, you know, so that you can take your 4-legged family member with you and still go and enjoy a penguin pale ale on the deck with your four-legged family member. So definitely worth stopping into Penguin.
Now, Katie just mentioned our downloadable free itineraries. These are our ultimate road trip adventure series. We are putting together, I say we, I mean Katie is putting together these incredibly beautiful itineraries. The quick guides are free. Every week we're releasing one of those over the next 8 to 10 weeks. The first one is live now at our website, thefeelgoodfamily.com.
Yes, absolutely. Our new website has launched. We're very excited about that. And you can also find links to them from our Facebook page as well. So there is a free version, and then there is also a 16-page, very comprehensive, detailed version of exactly what we did, the experiences we enjoyed, where we stayed, where we ate, our tips, what we would recommend, plus lots of great Touring Tasmania information on road safety conditions, what to pack, what to expect, and a whole heap more. So do definitely check those out.
Yes, thefeelgoodfamily.com. Even .com.au will still get you there these days.
It still will, yes.
All right, onward to Devonport. We are staying at the Mersey Bluff Caravan Park. Luke and Carolyn run this fantastic park. I mean, it is a prime location, and it's 3 minutes from door to ship, and I'm talking about the Spirit of Tasmania. So if you're arriving or departing Tassie, this would be the number one location as a park to stay at.
Absolutely. And again, you know, we've got that local theme happening. This is a local's favourite caravan park. So over the holiday periods, it does book out really quickly. We met campers at this park who have been coming back here for years and years and years. One gentleman that we met,
Raymond.
Ray. Absolutely gorgeous. He is celebrating his 100th, you heard me right, his 100th birthday this July. He still tows his little caravan down to Mersey Bluff for the holiday period.
Yeah.
Sets up with his family.
He's been towing his van or bringing his family to this park for 70 consecutive years.
You know a park's good.
The same site. In fact, the owners said to us, he's the only man that we don't charge because he's a legend.
Yep. And he is a legend. What a privilege and an honour it was to spend a little bit of time with him and his lovely family and have a few laughs and get a photo. And I mean, just incredible. So vibrant and full of life, 99 years old, but
energy and humour.
Yes.
Amazing.
But
Love
there's
it.
something in this camping thing, right? And we've said that time and time again. But you certainly know that a caravan park is a good one if somebody's been coming back for 70 consecutive years. And it is. The location is awesome. It's opposite a patrol beach that, funnily enough, is called Patrol Beach.
Yes.
Really, really beautiful. And I think more green, grassy recreation areas of any location that we have ever stayed. So the beachfront is awesome. There's a cafe and a licensed restaurant right there on the beach. An incredible children's playground. There's even a walk, a fully concreted path, coastal walk that you can do that takes you all the way along the beachfront, up past the caravan park, up to the Mersey Bluff Lighthouse, which in itself is just awesome and offers spectacular views, particularly at sunset, back over the Bass Strait. I mean, you're literally looking towards Victoria.
Yeah, it is a beautiful location. And as you said, you do have to book because Tasmanians from the entire state travel to Mersey Bluff during the school holidays, and it is for good reason. It is absolutely a prime location.
Yeah, it definitely is. And again, it offers those tiered sites back over the hills. So you have a really good vantage point no matter where you are.
Now, Devonport needs its own week, really, when
for sure.
when you look at what there is to explore. One particular experience that we chose was the Don River Railway. This is an awesome experience for families, or if you're a train enthusiast like our little Jasper is. It is only 5 minutes down the road from the caravan park, a beautiful old steam engine. Jasper got to meet Thomas, the tank engine. I mean, a real size Thomas. There's a beautiful miniature railway set that you can operate. Just walking through the rail works there, again, volunteers passionately restoring all of these olden trains all the way through to the locos. The experience itself was a 30-minute return train ride on the Don River Steam Railway. We loved this. It was a fantastic experience.
Yeah, it really was. And you don't necessarily have to be a train enthusiast to love this experience. It takes you through some beautiful environment down to the Coles Beach Junction. I mean, Coles Beach, spectacular as well, especially on the blue sky day that we travelled on the railway. And then, as you said, Paul, to walk through the workshops and the railway museum and just look through and walk through and immerse yourself in these historic carriages and engines. It was just awesome. A definite highlight. Low cost. I mean, I think they could put their rates up.
Yeah.
Low cost, family friendly, easily a half day or less experience. So something that if you were looking for what can we do for a few hours, then definitely go and do this. Look, they run the steam engine, the Heritage steam engine, on the weekends. So that would definitely be our tip. Go on the weekend, get on a ride on the steam engine. Just awesome.
Yes, and meet Thomas.
Yes.
And his friends. All right, so that really wraps up our Stanley to Devonport road trip. It's only 130 kilometres, really, from one to the other, and there is so much more to do in this region. This is a wonderful itinerary if you're just starting, if you've only got a week into Tassie and you're arriving into Devonport. This would be a perfect one to really get yourself into the Tasmanian vibe.
Yeah, absolutely. Just awesome.
Okay, our takeaway for this week, we've mentioned it a few times, is speak to the locals.
Yeah.
You know, the very first trip to Stanley, some young kids came over, introduced themselves to Jasper, invited him to play with them, and then said to me, one of the older kids, I think he was 9, you know, he says, have you driven your four-wheel drive down on the beach yet, mate? I said, no. And he said, you can. You don't need a permit, but don't go all the way down past this certain point because it gets really boggy down there. So as locals, we only go on this area. You know, fantastic. And then, you know, this trip that was, well, you can actually see the penguins right out the front. Just be patient. And then there were hundreds of them.
Yeah. Something else that we found in Tassie too, particularly from our first visit, was the locals saying to us, well, have you got your map there? Pull out your touring map. Let me mark a few spots on there that you won't find in the tourist brochures.
They love marking on your map. That's so good. Yes.
They want to share this incredible state, and our advice is to take it because you are not going to get better tips than what you get from a local who lives and breathes and loves their home.
I think that's it. They're not only relevant, but they're in real time.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So some of these brochures may be outdated. So good advice. Okay, let's move to the newsroom. We have got fire safety on our minds this week. You know, very unfortunately, and in some cases, tragically, fire has been a part of the newsreel around RVs over the last couple of months through Christmas and New Year's. We really wanted to talk about what is installed in your van as far as a smoke alarm. We have a very good friend who's a fiery and officer at Hobart Station, and when he first walked into our van, he pointed out 2 things. He said, treat it like a house. You know, it's only 17 square metres and you do have a smoke detector here, but you've got a second sleeping area for the kids, you know, in our case for Jasper. Have another one in there. He said it may give you 10 more seconds. That could be the difference. So we installed a second smoke detector. Australia doesn't have any regulation or requirement on CO or carbon monoxide detectors. He said that's just crazy. I mean, there's plenty of history around people, you know, and families, whole families being lost to carbon monoxide poisoning or gas leaks within their rigs, install one. It costs $25 and it has a 10-year lithium battery installed in it. So these are basic things, inexpensive, that truly can save lives, So that's really what we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is off the back, as you say, Paul, of a number of very recent incidents, one very tragically fatal, but across all different types of campers. So a double-decker bus, a camper trailer, and also a caravan in which somebody lost their life, and different scenarios for these fires, but all the same safety message. And interestingly, something else that we found while we were researching this is advice on campfires as well, and just how quickly they can get out of control. In fact, the Victorian government has released figures to state that a huge percentage,
more than half,
of the fires that they have had to deal with within the national parks and the bushlands this fire season have been due to campfires not being extinguished properly or being left unattended, and then of course they quickly get out of control. So, I think it comes back to us as RV owners and campers to have a little bit of responsibility, not only for ourselves and our families in how we manage that safety aspect within our vans, but also, of course, for the environment and other campers out there.
270 fires that they were called to that were unattended, campfires that are left behind.
Yeah, it is. It's a really simple thing. So.
Really, you do need to wet those down, to basically 100% extinguish them.
Well, and especially at times of the year like this where it is summer, and particularly in states like Victoria, Tasmania has an incredible fire season over here. Do the right thing and install those devices in your van to keep your family safe and give yourself the best chance if you find yourself in a situation that, you don't ever want to be in.
Yes, stay safe. Take some simple steps to ensure that for you and your family.
Yeah, look, we picked up our CO and our smoke detector from Bunnings, as you said, so inexpensive for what it is and what it can do for you and your family.
Actually, it's another good tip. They give you this tiny little space to put the date on. Put it on there. Make sure that's the install date. Put that date on there. And that is because, you could be 10 years down the track and this van's gone through 3 owners. At least then they've got a genuine record of when that was installed so that they can look at when to replace.
Good idea.
All right, that's going to be wrapped up for this week. Next week, we are doing a road trip that I would refer to as packed with awesomeness. Yeah. This is like no other. This is Hobart to Strahan. It's 300 kilometres. It is known as the Western Wilds.
Yeah, it is. If you are looking for that, I want that rugged, epic, untouched World Heritage environment of Tasmania, then the west of Tasmania is the place for you to go. I love that even the tourism body for the Western Wilds says it's just outside your comfort zone.
Yes, great.
Awesome.
Very good. All right, we'd also like to ask, if you're listening to this podcast on audio, please drop us a review. If you think it's awesome, give us 5 stars. Share it with your friends. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channels, go over there and do that as well. We love bringing you this content.
Absolutely.
All right, but for now, we will say look after yourself and look after your family.
And happy trails.
Bye, guys.
Feel the journey, feel the love, feel good family.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh, so much good stuff. Ooh. I actually just remembered something that we didn't talk about, which was our Table Cape Lighthouse experience.
Oh my gosh.
Get on, download our itineraries. You can do a fabulous tour of the Table Cape Lighthouse. well worth it. Again, a very inexpensive, low-cost experience to get up and, learn the history of the lighthouse, and also then, of course, stand out on the balcony and take in those epic views. So all the details of that one are in our downloadable itineraries.
Have an awesome week. Look after yourself.
Bye.
Bye.